Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Mental Health Gaming Podcast. Unfortunately for you lot, the voice is back. I'm Bradley, and because I need to shut him up this week because he didn't shut up at all last week, I'm joined by Stu.
Yeah, it was verbal diarrhea last week. Yeah. Watch our listenership numbers plummet.
Well, you know, you need me to keep you in check. You need someone who knows the fine art of when to stop talking. And that's me.
It is, absolutely. Do it perfectly. I've learned everything I know from you.
I know.
Basically.
And now no one wants to talk to you anymore because they can't get a word in.
I know. I'm a horror.
Talking of horrors, it seems like one horror has just come to the end. And we might as well mention it, seeing as it's current affairs. The world seems a bit of a brighter place this week.
Yeah, it really does. It's bananas. Like we were so happy, me and my wife, on Saturday night. We couldn't really contemplate it. I couldn't work it out properly. But the next morning, we woke up around sort of 8:30. But we were so chilled because of the news that we fell back to sleep till midday, and it's just the relief, just the full body relief of him going was so much.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've always had an interest in American politics and stuff because I've got an interest in sort of American sports and stuff, so it all kind of bleeds in, and obviously America's just one of the superpowers, and I've always had an interest, but it's always been a case of, that's cool, I'm glad he won. And when I think Barack Obama won, it was just do you know what, this will be really good. It's good, America's finally waking up, a black man in Oval Office and stuff like that. Or when Bush won, and it was just kind of bugger. Yeah. It was just those sort of reactions, but the pure relief and almost celebration of Trump losing was just you could tell the world felt it, and it's a part of me that was looking forward to the entertainment. I would say 90% of me wanting just to sort of grow up and just go hand over power properly and do what they're meant to do. But there's that 10% of me that really wants to see the Secret Service drag him from the White House kicking and screaming while filming it.
I'd love to see that. I'd love it, but he's such a coward that he'll be like, no, okay, I'm going.
I reckon he'll feign illness or something like that.
Probably.
Some way of getting out of it. Yeah, I've lost, but it's caused me too much stress, or I'm ill, and I can't carry on, so I will hand over. Or just something. He's not just gonna go peacefully, but he's not gonna drag it out too much. He's just gonna fire everyone because apparently that's what he's doing now. But anyway, enough of the orange bullshitter. You can bleep that if you want. Games. That's what we're here for. What have you been playing, Stu?
Couple of good ones this week, and both of them very chill. So the first was I was playing Yoshi's Crafted World. So I was waiting in vain for the price to drop to something I thought was reasonable, and it never has. So eventually I just went in on it anyway. It's crazy the way that Nintendo hold their prices. I don't know how they manage it, because it doesn't seem to be a shortage of the game. So there isn't really any incentive for them to keep it at a high price, but that's just the way they roll. So anyway, I picked it up and I really like it. I knew that I would like it from the demo when I played that, 2 years ago now or something. The game came out about 8 months after that or something, I don't know. But it's great. It's really chill. It got a couple of knockings from people that it was too easy, but it's kind of designed as a bit of a kind of thinky collectathon. It's not really designed as a challenge in any way. The only challenge is, to make sure that you do things as quick as you can and as comprehensively as you can, to have slightly better results. But it's got that lovely Nintendo charm. It's bright and colourful and brings a lot of joy just because of its silliness, and it legitimizes an adult sort of dipping into the Fisher-Price world of going back to primary school / kindergarten and mucking about with toys. So that's lovely. I really enjoy my time with it. I'm taking it very slow and deliberately so I don't finish it too soon.
Yeah, it is good. It's I don't think it's ever going to go down as one of like an all-time classic first-party Nintendo game, but it's good. And one thing I will say when it comes to first-party, a good Nintendo game is much better than a good Microsoft game and a good Sony game.
Yes, yeah.
I'd much rather play it, and it is one, I've played probably about half of it so far since we've had it, and I'll go back to it at some point and stuff like that. It's unremarkable, but I suppose it's like having you've got that film that you can just stick on, and it's not your favourite film. It's not crap. You'll stick it on and you'll watch it because it's something to do. I find that's what the Yoshi game's like. It's there if you ever fancy something.
Yes, yeah, it's a comfort blanket. Yeah, it's not as good as just quickly to say, it's not as good as Yoshi's Woolly World, which I thought was a fantastic game. And I'm not sure how many people played it because of the platform it was on.
Yeah, I didn't get to play that one, no.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, but that if you get the opportunity, it came out on the 3DS as well, and I played both because I loved it so much, and there's very little difference between the two. So if you fancy it and you can get hold of it, then definitely give it a whirl.
It's also one I reckon we'll see a re-release at some point.
Yeah, Nintendo love cash.
Well, they've got it. They've got basically the Wii catalogue. They've got the GameCube catalogue if they really want to sort of do some extras with it. The Wii U and the Wii catalogues are there as well, and they can just go, well, we've got a bit of a barren 4 or 5 months. Let's up-res these games because we know how easy it is to make a Wii game actually look pretty damn good if you've used Dolphin Emulator. So we know they can up-res them. So here's an old game. We stick it on there for 50 quid because that's what Nintendo do. And people will buy it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll be one of those people probably.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they've got that, like you say, barren period, a little bit of a gap, and it goes. Yeah. And apart from that, I was playing Sayonara Wild Hearts as well, which...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it seems good so far. I've not put a lot of time into it, but yeah, it's very pleasant, very sweet. It's kind of similar in that way to Crafted World in that it's not going to set the world on fire, although it has got a lot of people who really love it. I think people who are starved of like Res style gameplay. So, it's kind of a pre-scripted, rooted, not shooter, but, heart collector, kind of like a mix of Outrun 2 and Res on rails. But it's all about the audio, it's all about the tunes, isn't it? And collecting stuff and listening to great music whilst you do it. And it's very fun. Yeah. Pleasant game.
Beautiful to look at as well. I love the art style of that game. I absolutely do. It's kind of flat but got depth to it, and the purples and the whites and the blacks the contrast on them is just spectacular. As much as I couldn't really get on with the gameplay because I just struggle with that sort of gameplay on the whole anyway. I couldn't help but want to play it and work through it because it's just everything else it delivers. It just delivers absolutely wonderfully. And if you do like that sort of gameplay, or you are competent at that sort of game, then you'll get so much more out of it as well. But yeah, but you are right. I don't think it's best in class, but damn, it is good. Yeah.
Yes, it is good. I definitely looking forward to going back and improving my score and stuff as well. I'm already contemplating that, even though I haven't completed it. So yeah, I must be doing something right.
Oh yeah, definitely. It works as a high score game as well. I've done that on some of the earlier levels when I can do this better.
Yeah.
I always actually, all rhythm action games, if they only had 2 levels, I'd be brilliant at them. Because those first 2 levels where they're almost like gimmies, I'm good at them.
Yeah. And there are some that are not even like that they're so difficult from the start that you've just got to be totally on your game. Like Guitaru Man is just like, there's no real easy introduction to that. It just kind of starts kicking your bum right from minute 1, but totally worth it.
Oh yeah, I played that and I think I managed to complete the first couple, and it was like I can't go any further. It's so
It's
good, but I
brilliant.
just can't do it. My body, my brain, my fingers can't keep up. I'm like that on medium, on like Guitar Hero and stuff like that. How some of those people are doing like the hardest difficulties, I just don't. Yeah, that's not me.
Different league. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I've been playing a couple of things that are probably like wildly different actually. So the first one I'll touch on is Town of Light, which I played on a stream start last week to help promote the Safe in Our World first anniversary bundle. All games that have a link to mental health, both positive and I suppose more, I don't want to say negative, but more deeper stuff that look at the world of mental health and, you know, what effects it has. And Town of Light was one of those. I went into it and it's, first of all, it's going to be a bit What Remains of Edith Finch and games like that. And anyone who watched the stream, I think, saw me just hit an emotional barrier at one point playing the opening to that game. It deals with abuse, child neglect, and all kinds of things like that in a quite on the nose, but also quite subtle way. It uses, I would say, some tropes that you would see in films, especially where they deal with psychology and mental health. It uses a few of those tropes, but rather than going, "Oh God, here's another trope," it uses them to its advantage to sow some seeds, and it really gets under your skin. And there was one point within the game where you had full control, absolute full control, and then you enter this little section and you only get control of moving forward. You cannot move back. You want to move backwards, but you just cannot move back. And every part of me did not want to proceed. I wasn't ready to proceed. And it never made me go forward at any point. It never said, right, you've got to go forward and we're going to make, there's a timer or anything like that. But it wouldn't let me go back. The only action I could do was forward. And it made
was that the bit, sorry to interrupt, was that the bit with the gap in the floor where you went down it and then it rotated again?
Yes.
Yeah, that was really strange.
And I thought about that for the next, like that entire evening. I went to bed and I couldn't sleep stuff because I was thinking about that particular bit. And I don't think that was the standout bit of the game either. But it's the bit, and I was just like, oh, I actually feel quite physically sick at the moment. This was in bed later going, that control was taken away from me. But I had the power still to go forward. And that's all I could do. And I had control, but no control. And it was messing with me. Just really messing with me. And the game does a lot of that really well. There is puzzle solving. But the puzzle solving isn't inherently difficult. But it's designed at times to frustrate. And there was another point early in the game that you'd have seen on stream where there's this big guy who's clearly a nurse or whatever at the asylum waiting for you. And he looks menacing and he looks big. He looks like he could overpower you. And even me as a white male, I always felt nervous. I just felt I don't want to go there. But the game made it clear that was the only thing I could do. It didn't stop me moving around the room and I could see him, but he was an imposing figure. And I knew eventually I had to go there. And when you look at victims of abuse, it's something they have. It really gets to me. Do you know when you see someone in an abusive relationship and they go, well, just leave them. Just leave them.
Yeah.
Or why did you go home after you didn't have to? And people don't understand it. I think what this game does well, it kind of frames that really well. I didn't have to go to where this nurse was. I didn't have to go towards him, but that's what I did. I went towards him. And that was all I could do. That's the only thing I could do. But I had the power to stay in that room. But I didn't. I pushed ahead because I felt that's the only thing I could do. And it does that really well. And it kept having a massive effect on me for the next few days. And I've played a bit more of it since. But I can't bring myself to play more than 20 minutes at a time. And it's one game where I don't want to go, everyone should play it. I recommend it. But if you do struggle to understand, why certain people take certain actions in their life. This is absolutely brilliant for that.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant game, it's not a fun game, but it's a very important game.
Yes, no, it did look that way. It's great the way that they're starting to play around with player agency and how that, mirrors your choices in the real world, which they seem as if you have free will, but you're often trapped by circumstance. And so games where you're entirely trapped by circumstance, that's got a really powerful message that it can convey. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, do if you get a chance to check it out. And on the flip side of that, I've been playing Jurassic World Evolution.
A bit different.
Yeah. I played it originally on the Xbox. I've got the PC version. I got sent the Switch version for review. Really good. Really good part management game. The Switch port so far, good. It runs well. Text isn't too small in handheld, which is a good thing. It's got all the expansions in it. So you've got the one around Claire, I want to say Darling, I think, I can't remember, Claire Deering within it. And then there's the Return to Jurassic Park expansion as well, which I haven't played yet and I'm looking forward to playing. But yeah, really good game. But again, just highlights one of my own personal first world pet peeves with gaming. Allow me cross-save in just some way, or at least some way to have my progress, even if you can't do it exactly. Some way to I've played it on PC. Let me unlock it all on the Switch version. Even if you can't go with like an immediate cross-save, just something, because now I feel I've got to play the entire game again in parallel with the PC version, and that's I think the problem when you get ported games that come late. I think they will do themselves out of sales, because if you're someone who's played a lot of it on the console, bigger console or the PC, what need is there to get it on the Switch and start again?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's on the Switch and you can convert your save, then you'll pick it up because you can play it on the go and then drop that save back into the PC version or the Xbox version or whatever. But as it is, it's a brilliant game, but I don't know if it's going to reach a whole new audience. I don't know if it's going to sell as well as what they hope.
It's amazing, really, that they don't do that. I know we touched on it briefly a few weeks ago, but it is incredible that they don't do that. I really don't think, as I said back then, it would cannibalise any sales for them. I think it could only help increase sales, even though it was coming out on a different platform. If they offered them a conversion, even if it was like a paid one for like $4.99 or something, people would pay it because they want to bring over that time. And I was watching a early-ish review of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it was by G-Man, who's I won't recommend him because he's not great, but he gets a lot of exclusives, so I tend to see them anyway. I'm defending my poor choices, but anyway, he started on PC but found the experience to be quite rubbish. No surprise with an Ubisoft. Hang on, Ubisoft or Activision?
It is Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, yeah. God, yes. Just had a brain fart. Anyway. Yeah, and he said he found it to be rubbish. So 20 hours in, he switched to the Xbox Series X version. And he said it's a class apart, it's far better. But it brought over his save because it's part of the same ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it's because he wouldn't have bothered. He said himself he wouldn't have bothered, and he wouldn't have started from scratch again. So just having that cross save, he's now like 60 hours deep. So imagine that, but with Jurassic World, you'd do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, oh definitely. And I can see it with some games. So like City Skylines, the second you can't anyway, because the PC version's so far ahead of the console versions, which are miles ahead of the Switch version on its own because it's vanilla. So I get some games you can't do it, but Jurassic World Evolution, even though it allows you to build your own park, there's nothing massive that you can do differently that I've seen so far on the console version to the Switch version, at least. And so there's no reason they can't do it. And I know it's not just as simple as press a button and it's done, but a save file surely has to be just a series of ones and zeros, because everything in electronically done is made up of ones and zeros in some way. And I know that's bringing it down to the base level. So it's got to be able to do things like, right, here's what you've actually brought into the game, here's where you've put them, so that's your save file. So we'll convert that so that it can be read by this version of the game. And I've seen like Hades is doing it. I know it's not coming instantly, but that's allowing you to bring your save across from PC through to the console and Switch version. So, that it is doable. There's a Sudoku game I've got which allows me to do it. Cross save was a big thing at one point. So, I would like to see it. Because again, I would, down the line, if there was a game that came out across PlayStation, Xbox, PC and Switch, if I know I can get my saves across to all of them, I'm more likely to get all 4 versions.
Yeah.
Rather than pick a version.
Yeah.
I might only buy one at launch, so that's only one lot of 50 quid. But then you then get another 3 lots of 10 to 20 quid when they're on sale.
Yeah.
Which is better than just buying the one. But it's an argument that I'll go. And I know, again, I don't want to insult developers. I know it isn't just a case of pressing a button and it's all magic. I know it would require a bit of work. But maybe, hopefully, moving forward, we'll see any newer games now have that in some fashion.
That would be great.
But yeah, that's it really, games for me at the moment. Just mainly some Tetris.
Oh, there's a shock.
You don't want me getting started on talking about Tetris. Next week I'll be talking Tetris Connect, so there's a pre-warning.
Hooray. No, I'm only joking. I always like to listen to you talk about Tetris. It's such a good game. Do you know, just a very quick anecdote on it. I love Tetris because, you'd have to be insane not to love Tetris. But I can't play it that much because the Tetris effect for me is really bad and takes hold really quickly.
Really?
So even after about an hour, I just have I turn it off and then the blocks are falling in my brain and I just I can't do it. So it's brilliant, but I have to back away from it sooner than I would like.
Yeah, no, I don't want to say that I am obsessed with it, but it's stopped me playing other games. It's stopped me watching things on TV. I wouldn't say it stopped me sort of like eating or anything like that, but it's had me before sitting there going, do you know what, I'll put my lunch back an hour, I'll put it back a bit longer. It does grab hold, but that's because it's got a perfect gameplay loop. But we'll save it till next week.
Fair play.
But that games wise from you as well?
Yeah, I don't think I've been playing. Well, there are some that I've been playing that are extra special, but I'll save that for. It's part of a project that I'm doing, part of a restoration project, which gives you a little hint, but not a big one. And I've been playing some games on something I'm restoring, but we'll talk about that in depth when it's all done and dusted.
Oh, you finally fixed that red ring of death.
Nobody can fix the red ring of death.
Okay, so, right, we'll move on. And I wasn't going to talk about this initially, but someone on Twitter mentioned about their bullying issues. And it got me really to sort of thinking about mine that I had back in the past. And it's a tough one, how much bullying affects you. The guy on Twitter, you should follow him. He's really good on Twitter. It's Brian's PPD Journey on Twitter. Let me just have a quick look. At BPD Brian. He talks about his bipolar quite a lot. And he said about how he was bullied most of his school years, so like 12 years or so, and about the negative effect it had on his development. And it brought it all back to me about the immediacy of my bullying, where I struggled at school in terms of connecting with people, was scared to show the stuff I knew, so any intelligence I was scared to show, never wanted to stand out. And I've spoken about it before, I tried to end my life 3 times during senior school. And I also, one time, I've written about it before, I had planned to go into school with a knife, and the plan was to murder my bullies and attack the teachers who hadn't protected me. That was a plan. And spoke about how video games actually helped stop that, because I played a bunch of video games, calmed down, thought about things logically, and took the knife from my school bag and put it back in the kitchen. But it wasn't just the effect it had on me then. I tried to sort of reshape who I was when it came to college. Pretended I liked things that I didn't really, such as clubbing. I didn't really like clubbing, but that's what everyone else did, so I did it. Drinking, pretended I liked drinking, because that's what everyone else did, and so I had to fit in. Made a fool of myself a few times because I tried too hard to fit in or to be a certain type of person, but struggled to understand why I didn't like these things as well. But knew I had to force a certain personality so I didn't get bullied. And I wasn't bullied at college, thankfully. One of my closest friends I met through college, and she's still one of my closest friends to this day. But I still have a very small group of people that I would say that I trust and that I can be open with. He says as he's talking to a much wider audience and being open with them, but I find this much easier than sitting down with an acquaintance and talking openly.
Yeah.
So, and it's affected things like my confidence in myself to do anything. So when it comes to looking for jobs, my immediate thought is, will I fit in? What if I'm not good enough at the job? And am I going to open myself up to bullying? If I open myself up to admitting that I have mental health issues, will that lead to bullying? And that stems back to one of the incidents of bullying was when my granddad died. My granddad died suddenly one night. I went into school a couple of days later after finding out. I actually pleaded with them, like, please can you leave me alone for today? Like, my granddad died the other day, and I'm in a really bad place with it. Probably not as eloquent as that, because I would have been 11, 12 years of age at the time. And the bullies used that as another stick to beat me with. Mocked me for my granddad dying. And really since then as well, I struggle to show any emotion when people I know die. Whether it be pets, whether it be family members, I don't have an immediate emotion and I look almost blank. Now, that's not me having no empathy. That's not me having no emotion. That's me still worried that what's going to happen if I show that emotion? Are people going to use that against me? And it's one of the reasons I will go into a complete emotional lockdown sometimes if I'm in a bad mood, and I shut people out because, again, are they gonna attack me? I don't think any of the adults as such that I know exactly are gonna bully me. I don't think I'm gonna get bullied in the same way I did when I was a child, but it has that negative effect. You're always thinking about what's the negativity that will happen. And Brian, when he said about the negative effect, brain development, and can be the cause of developing mental illness. And I think that's the case for me. When I spoke about sort of like trying to get diagnosed with ADHD, it gives me a reason to know why I was a bit different at school, why I didn't fit in, why I don't like the things other people like on the whole. It can explain it to me. It doesn't excuse it, but it explains it for me. But it's still not enough for me to then go, right, okay, this is what you're going to do now. I've said before, I can't be the life and soul of the party. Trust me, I'd love to be able to be the type of person that can get up and, even though they sing badly, go and do a bit of karaoke just because it's fun and it's funny. Dance badly because it's funny, do the dad dance and stuff like that. Yeah, I can't, if we go to an event and the kids want to dance, I can't. I physically cannot bring myself to go and sort of like get on the dance floor with like my son when he was younger or my daughter or anything like that. Kids want to go on my shoulder. Like as we walk in places, I fear I can't do that because people are going to look and judge, and they're going to say something or do something, and that all stems from the bullying. Because if you try to do anything different, that's going to be used against you. And every single day, I'd go in, and I've always been brought up to stand by your own opinions. So I would always, if it came to sort of like a debate or something, or I knew someone was wrong or their opinion just was a bit sucky, I'd offer my opinion back. And teachers would turn around and go, I'm partly to blame. I bring it on myself because I'm this certain way, or I react to the bullies. or I still try and argue the bullies. I wasn't arguing, I was debating, or I was putting across an opinion. And I've always been opinionated, believe it or not.
No.
Oh, no. And, it's when the teachers blamed me for the bullying, and it was my fault. That was the first time. It was year 8, I think it was. It was the first time I got the blame for, not the blame, but it was like I could do more to prevent it. That's the first time I went to decide to try and take my own life, because the people who were there to protect me failed miserably.
Yes.
And then victim blamed. Now, I know we hear victim blaming along the lines of people who are raped, sexually assaulted, and that kind of thing. That, it's if they didn't wear those sort of clothes, it's their, it's how it wouldn't happen to them, and so on and so forth. But it goes right down. It's very easy to blame the victim when you've got a bullying problem at school. And I know, this has been a long-winded way to get to this point. When you've got a bullying problem at a school or any organisation, really, it's very easy to get rid of the victim. Put a bit of blame their way. Get rid of the victim. Because to address the wider bullying problem means massive changes. And people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard... to go back to this, because she went to the same school as me. Joe O'Meara, who was in S Club 7, was described as, I think she'd done Big Brother or something, and a couple of bits, and was described as a bully because of the way she spoke to people and the way she done behind the back stuff. All different kinds of things. Anyway, I don't really watch any of that, so I wasn't too aware. All I knew is people was describing her as a bully. Now, the reason she was acting like that was during her school days, she was bullied. She went to the same school as me, so a couple of years above me, and she was bullied. Similar to me, day in, day out, people would attack her. She wrote a piece about it. Unfortunately, it was for the Scum, but that's what she done. She wrote a bit about the bullying, and straight away, the school defended themselves by blaming her for a lot of what went on. Now, she went down a different path to me with reacting to the bullying. She, for me, put up a shield and decided she would go on the attack first. She wasn't going to be the victim. She was going to be the one who attacks, which I don't think is the right way to deal with things, but it explains why she did what she did. So that then leads me to, are bullies just inherently evil, or is there something else that's causing it? And I don't think it's a black and white answer. I think it is a very grey answer. But for many, are people bullying others because of problems at home? Quite possibly. But this is why we need to look at the bullying as a whole. At school, colleges, work organisations, anywhere really, is what is causing someone to bully someone else. And the term bullying as well still has this, I don't want to say light-hearted manner to it, but it's like, if you're getting you're getting a bit of a kick in now and again, you're being bullied. So when you then describe the bullying, which is the daily torrent of mental abuse you get and the subtle bullying you get, it kind of loses its impact. Bullying just doesn't have the impact as, say, like when you say to someone they're being sexually assaulted on a regular basis at work. That sounds disgusting. That sounds like something that needs to be done about. Well, at school, I was being mentally assaulted day in, day out. But that's not what it was called. It was bullying. And bullying is just man up.
Yeah.
Fight them back. I tried once to fight back. Do you know what happened? The bullying got worse.
Yeah.
I told the teacher what happened. The bullying got worse. My mum went and spoke to the teachers because at the time she went, I don't know what else to do. I need to speak to someone. They found out the bullying got worse. They made threats to me about what they would do to my mum. Now, looking back now, I go, fucking hell, that's pathetic. I wasn't really going to follow through with that. But as a teenager who was fragile, emotionally fragile at the time, I believed they would go and do damage to my mum. So I took the bullying and didn't say anything. Led to another suicide attempt. And I say, when it got to the point where I thought, right, so far I can't kill myself because I'm crap at that. That's how bad I am. My next option, honestly, was to go and kill. Which sounds ridiculous that I can say that so plainly. But that's what it drove me to. And you do wonder, how far are people going to be driven? If we, with suicide prevention, which is absolutely vital, and we can stop young people killing themselves because of what's going on around them, but that bullying still continues, what's the next logical step to end that bullying? If we're doing what we can to stop people taking their own lives, the next stage is, well, we'll stop it at source. Because that's what I nearly did. And we need to find a way to stop it. We really do. And we need to cut it at source. We need to teach children from a very young age how it's okay to be different. And I think it is improving in some respects. When you look at how people are reacting to, I'm sorry to bring it back, looking to people like Donald Trump now, the bully that he is. And we're seeing a reaction to that. And I'm hoping what we start to see is people teaching their children more and more about what differences are. And I always hate this, we shouldn't look at people as different. I think, yes, we should. We should look at people as different, because people are different, but appreciate what that difference is, why it's different. And it's not bad to be different.
Yeah.
It's if you've got someone who's 10 years old and they've decided they're not happy in their body and they feel they are either genderless or they are a different gender, don't hide it. Don't tell the kids they shouldn't learn about this stuff, because kids will understand. My son understands at 13 transgenderism. He understands why people might not like their body and why they might want to be different. Let kids discuss all kinds of things. Talk to kids about homosexuality from a young age. If you're going to have sex education, not just the physical side, it has to be the emotional side. You have to allow a child who doesn't know what they're feeling, who could be attracted to a classmate, could wonder why they fancy, if it's a boy, why they fancy, the whoever the most, popular male actor is at the time, rather than the one all the boys are looking at who's a woman. Why they feel like that, it needs to be discussed, and kids understand. It's only as we're taught. I grew up in the 80s and 90s where you turn around and go, if you don't like football, that's gay. That's not an acceptable term anymore. I grew up in a time when that was, and that only really came in when I was in my late teens. We're taught that, and we don't have that tolerance, but that lack of tolerance is also what causes the bullying. And yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I honestly don't know what the answer is, because too many people are putting up a barrier to go, we don't have a bullying problem. We support people, if anyone's being bullied, they can come to us without understanding why people can't go to them. But honestly, I don't know the answer, and that was never the point of this. But it's just to bring the idea of bullying, even though it mainly happens at school, and that's where it all will come from initially. It doesn't end. It doesn't end the second you walk out those gates in year 11 or 12 or whatever it is now. It doesn't end. It sticks with you for 30, 40, 50, 60 years beyond that. And I'm still broken because of it. So yeah, I don't know what the actual endpoint to that was, but yeah, it's just a bit about sort of what brings me to where I am now, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing to talk through, and it's such a harsh experience. It sounds absolutely terrible for you, and like you say, it just persists then through your life and always will. Yeah, I get the impression that schools are better at handling it than they were when you and I were growing up and going through the school system.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be places where it still fails worse than others, but generally, there's less tolerance of it. But in your adult life, I think it's the best thing that you can have is people around you who just are understanding, and they understand of who you are and where you are. Just take, they just accept you for who you are, no matter where you came from, and they understand that those formative experiences, weren't great, and they won't perpetuate them themselves or them or their kids. So yeah, I mean, again, like you, I haven't really got anything to particularly end on with that, other than back to be kind to each other and understand that the past and what people have gone through is persistent and it will continue to impact them for the rest of their lives. So be kind to them.
Yeah, and I mean, if people want I suppose almost a close with this, is if you want to see what happens when we allow bullying to run riot, then just look at the world of politics now. Look at the various countries where they've clearly got bully boys in charge or had bully boys in charge, and what that's done to the climate. Look at how crappy the world is at the moment, the way people are treating each other, the lack of respect, the abuse that is rife throughout the world. And that all comes because we allow bullying, and the bullies are allowed to push on and push on and push on, whilst those who are bullied feel second class, even if they're not treated as second class citizens. That's how they feel. They don't even actually third, fourth, fifth class. I don't know what the lowest class is, but mentally that's where you are. You're in the gutter constantly because you don't feel there's any good about yourself, because you're told for many, many years that you're a piece of trash. And you start to believe it. And the people who tell you that, they're the ones who push on. And we need to stop that at source. We need to teach kids from the moment they enter a school environment to the moment they leave that tolerance is vital. Doesn't matter who the person is, tolerance matters. Doesn't mean you can't disagree. Doesn't mean you can't dislike somebody. But tolerance and respect absolutely should be one of the mainstays of what children are taught in school from day one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, I'm going to let you close out again because you do it better than I do.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I should deliberately cock it up now just for a laugh, but...
yeah, go for it.
No. I shall aim to be and endeavour to be professional. So, yeah, again, thanks for listening. Thanks for your continued listening. It's great to know that we've got listeners out there. So if you'd like to reply, to share, subscribe, make sure that you're getting the name and our name out there as much as possible so that other people can listen and judge for themselves what they think of it. That would be great. You can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. We do a lot on YouTube, so look at the channel, and also Brad particularly streams tons on Twitch, so have a look at that as well. And yeah, just keep liking, subscribing and looking after yourselves. So yeah, until next week, for the meantime, stay safe and take care of yourselves.